As we get older, many things about the body change quietly. Our skin changes. The amount of oil it produces changes. We may sweat differently. Even the tiny community of microorganisms living on our skin can change. And together, these changes can influence the way we smell. Here is the important part. Body odor does not necessarily mean someone is unclean. This is a common misunderstanding. Sweat itself is often not strongly smelly. The odor develops when substances from sweat, skin oils, and dead skin interact with bacteria living on the skin. Those bacteria break certain substances down and produce molecules that our noses recognize as odor. Now consider what happens as we age. Older skin generally becomes thinner and drier, and its natural oil production can change. Some people also experience reduced sweating, while others may notice sweating in different situations. At the same time, bathing habits may change because of mobility problems, sensitive skin, fatigue, fear of slipping, or simply because a person no longer feels the need to wash as frequently. There is another small detail that is easy to overlook. When the skin becomes drier, people may sometimes use heavier moisturizers, creams, or ointments. These products can remain in skin folds or around areas that are not thoroughly rinsed. Add a little sweat, natural oil, dead skin, and normal skin bacteria, and you have the basic ingredients for an unpleasant smell. This is why simply saying, "I washed today, so why do I still smell?" doesn't always have an obvious answer. Think of your skin like a kitchen counter. Imagine wiping only the large, obvious surface but never cleaning the corners. At first, everything looks perfectly fine, but over time, tiny amounts of oil, dust, and residue collect in those forgotten places. The same basic principle can apply to certain areas of the body. And this is where the conversation becomes interesting. Most people have a routine. They wash their face, arms, chest, legs, and the obvious areas. But the body has small areas that are surprisingly easy to miss. Behind the ears is one example. The folds around the ears can collect skin oils, sweat, dead skin, shampoo or hair product residue, and other debris. That doesn't mean everyone with odor has a problem behind their ears. It simply means that overlooked areas deserve attention. The solution is also not aggressive scrubbing. Older skin can be delicate, so the goal is gentle, consistent cleaning, followed by careful drying. The bigger lesson is this: staying fresh as we age isn't about using stronger soaps or scrubbing harder. It is about understanding how the body changes and paying attention to the small areas that ordinary routines can overlook. Sometimes, a surprisingly simple adjustment to a daily habit can make a noticeable difference. Let's clear up one of the biggest misunderstandings about body odor. Sweat itself usually isn't the main reason you smell. Your body produces sweat for an important reason. Sweating helps regulate body temperature. When you're hot, physically active, or nervous, sweat glands release fluid onto the skin. Much of that sweat is made primarily of water and contains small amounts of salts and other substances. So why can sweat sometimes smell unpleasant? The answer is found on the surface of your skin. Your skin is home to countless microorganisms, including bacteria. This is completely normal. You don't need to, and shouldn't try to, remove all of them. They are part of your body's natural ecosystem. The interesting part happens when certain bacteria interact with substances found in sweat, skin oils, and other material on the skin. They break these substances down and produce smaller chemical compounds. Some of those compounds have strong odors. In simple terms, you can think of it like this: sweat and skin oils provide the ingredients. Skin bacteria help transform those ingredients. The resulting compounds create the smell we recognize as body odor. This explains why two people can sweat the same amount but smell completely different. Everyone has a different combination of skin bacteria, different levels of oil production, different habits, different clothing, and different environments. Diet, medications, hormones, and certain health conditions can also influence body odor in some people. Age can add another layer to the story. As we get older, the skin's structure and chemistry gradually change. Oil retention can change, the skin may become drier, and the balance of microorganisms on the skin can shift. These changes don't mean that an older person is dirty. They simply mean that the skin may behave differently than it did decades earlier. This is why using increasingly strong soaps isn't necessarily the answer. Imagine trying to solve every odor problem by attacking the skin with harsh cleansers. You might remove oils temporarily, but excessive washing or aggressive scrubbing can irritate and dry the skin. Once the skin becomes irritated, it can become uncomfortable, cracked, or inflamed. A better approach is balance. Clean the skin gently. Pay attention to areas where sweat, oil, and residue tend to accumulate. Rinse thoroughly. Dry carefully. Keep clothing and towels clean, and give your skin enough time to maintain its natural protective barrier. This also explains why those small, overlooked areas can matter. Behind the ears, for example, you may have a combination of natural oils, perspiration, dead skin cells, and product residue. The bacteria already living on your skin can interact with that material and contribute to an odor. But don't make the mistake of thinking that one particular body part is responsible for everyone's odor. There is no universal odor spot that applies to every senior. Different people have different causes. The goal is not to become obsessed with eliminating every natural smell. Human beings naturally have a body scent. The goal is to recognize when an odor has become unusually strong, persistent, or different from your normal scent, and then consider simple hygiene factors first, while remembering that persistent changes can sometimes deserve medical attention. Once you understand the science, the solution becomes much less mysterious. You don't need to fight your body. You simply need to understand what is happening on your skin. Let's take this one step further, because understanding the science makes the solution much easier to remember. When people hear the words body odor, they often imagine sweat as the culprit. But that is only part of the story. Fresh sweat itself is generally not responsible for the strong smell we associate with body odor. The odor usually develops when substances on the skin are processed by microorganisms that naturally live there. Think of your skin as a tiny ecosystem. Every day, your skin produces oils. It sheds microscopic flakes of dead skin. You perspire. You may apply moisturizer, sunscreen, shampoo, conditioner, or other products. Your clothing may rub against your skin and leave behind tiny fibers or residue. None of these things automatically mean something is wrong, but when these materials accumulate in a warm or damp area, microorganisms on the skin can break down some of the compounds within them. During that process, they produce new molecules, and some of those molecules have noticeable odors. It's a little like leaving food in a warm place. The original food has one smell, but as microorganisms break it down, the smell changes. Your skin isn't rotting, of course, but the basic idea helps explain why bacteria plus organic material can produce a different smell. This is especially relevant to areas that are frequently overlooked. Behind the ears is a small fold where natural oils can collect. Hair products can run into the area. Sweat can accumulate. Dead skin can remain in the folds. And because you can't easily see the area while showering, it may receive less attention than your face or underarms. Now here's an important distinction. The presence of bacteria isn't itself a problem. Healthy skin needs microorganisms. Trying to sterilize your skin isn't realistic and isn't necessary. The objective is simply to remove excess sweat, oils, residue, and dead skin through normal, gentle hygiene. This is also why harsh scrubbing isn't the secret. If you repeatedly scrub the skin with very strong soap, you can remove too much of the skin's natural oils and potentially cause irritation. Older skin can be particularly delicate, so gentle washing is generally a better strategy than trying to scrub the smell away. Instead, think about 3 simple steps: clean, rinse, dry. Clean the area gently with a mild cleanser. Rinse away the cleanser and loosened residue. Then pat the skin dry, especially inside small folds, and don't forget that odor can come from many places. Underarms, feet, groin, skin folds, scalp, and even clothing can contribute to an overall body scent. Focusing exclusively on one location can cause you to miss the real source. There is another reason to pay attention to changes. If your body odor suddenly becomes dramatically different, unusually strong, or persists despite normal hygiene, don't automatically assume that you simply need to wash more. Certain skin conditions, infections, medications, diet changes, or medical problems can sometimes alter body odor. That doesn't mean an unusual smell automatically signals something serious. It simply means persistent changes deserve attention rather than embarrassment. So the real secret isn't a special soap, an expensive fragrance, or aggressive scrubbing. It's understanding the simple chemistry happening on your skin. Sweat provides part of the environment. Skin oils and other substances provide material. Microorganisms transform some of that material, and the resulting compounds can create the odor you notice. Once you understand that process, staying fresh becomes less about hiding odor and more about taking sensible care of your skin. Now that we understand where body odor can come from, let's talk about the practical part: how to clean those easily forgotten areas without damaging your skin. The first thing to remember is that cleanliness does not require aggressive scrubbing. In fact, when you're dealing with older or sensitive skin, being gentle can be more helpful than being forceful. Start with warm water. Water that is extremely hot may feel relaxing, but it can strip natural oils from the skin and leave it dry or irritated. A comfortably warm shower is usually enough. Then use a mild cleanser in your fingertips or a soft washcloth. When you reach the area behind and around the ears, take a few extra seconds. Gently clean the folds and the skin immediately behind the ear. You don't need to dig into the ear canal, and you should never insert cotton swabs or other objects deep inside the ear. The goal is simple: remove accumulated sweat, oil, dead skin, and product residue from the external skin. Then comes a step people often forget: rinse thoroughly. Soap and cleanser are designed to lift material from the skin, but leaving cleanser behind doesn't make you cleaner. Residue can sometimes irritate the skin, especially if you already have dryness or sensitivity. Let clean water run over the area and make sure the cleanser has been washed away. Then dry. This may sound almost too simple, but drying is an important part of maintaining comfortable skin. Moisture trapped inside a fold can contribute to irritation and may create conditions in which microorganisms multiply more readily. Take a clean towel and gently pat the area dry. Don't scrub back and forth. Think of the towel as absorbing moisture rather than sanding the skin. And here's a useful habit: connect the forgotten area to something you already do. For example, whenever you wash your face, neck, or hair, make behind the ears part of the same routine. When a small task becomes attached to an existing habit, you're less likely to forget it. You can also use a mirror occasionally to check the skin. Look for unusual redness, swelling, cracking, crusting, scaling, or discharge. A small amount of dryness can be common, but persistent changes deserve attention. Another important point is clothing and towels. Even when your skin is clean, fabric that has absorbed sweat and oils can contribute to odor. Regularly changing clothing, underwear, socks, and towels can help keep that fresh feeling. But don't fall into the trap of thinking that more washing is always better. Washing repeatedly throughout the day or using very strong antibacterial products without a reason can irritate the skin. Your goal isn't to eliminate every microorganism. Your goal is to maintain a healthy skin barrier and remove excess buildup. Think of the routine as gentle, consistent, and complete. Wash the skin, rinse it, dry it. Keep fabrics clean, and pay attention to areas that are easy to overlook. If a persistent odor continues despite good hygiene, or if the area becomes painful, very red, swollen, itchy, or develops discharge, it's better to have it evaluated by a healthcare professional. The real freshness secret isn't complicated. Sometimes you don't need a stronger product. You simply need to remember the small places your normal routine accidentally skips. Now we come to perhaps the most important point of all. If you notice a strong body odor, the first instinct may be to think, "I just need to wash better." Sometimes that is exactly the answer. Sweat, skin oils, clothing, and overlooked areas can certainly contribute to odor. But what if you've improved your hygiene and the odor still doesn't go away? That's when it's worth taking a step back. A persistent or unusual odor isn't always caused by poor hygiene. Skin irritation, fungal or bacterial infections, certain medications, changes in diet, and some medical conditions can influence body odor. This doesn't mean that an unusual smell automatically means something is wrong. It simply means we shouldn't blame every change on aging. Think about it this way: if your car suddenly starts making a strange noise, you wouldn't necessarily keep washing the car and hope the noise disappears. You'd first make sure the obvious things are taken care of, and if the problem continued, you'd have someone check it. Your body deserves the same reasonable approach. For example, if the skin behind the ears becomes persistently red, painful, swollen, cracked, crusted, or starts producing discharge, that is different from simply noticing a little odor after a hot day. Those symptoms may indicate irritation or an infection and are worth discussing with a healthcare professional. The same principle applies to odor that suddenly changes throughout the body. Perhaps you've had the same natural scent for decades, and then you notice a significant change that persists. Don't panic. There are many harmless explanations. Changes in diet, medications, sweating patterns, skin products, and everyday routines can all play a role, but a persistent, unexplained change is something you can mention during a routine medical appointment. And here's another important lesson. Never feel embarrassed about discussing body odor with a doctor. Healthcare professionals deal with questions like this regularly. What feels embarrassing to you may be a very ordinary clinical concern to them. There's also no need to cover an unusual odor with large amounts of perfume or cologne. Fragrance may temporarily mask a smell, but it doesn't address its source. In some cases, heavily scented products can irritate sensitive skin. Instead, start with the basics. Use gentle hygiene, clean overlooked areas, rinse thoroughly, dry the skin carefully, change clothing regularly. Keep towels and bedding clean and observe whether the odor improves. If it does, you've probably identified a simple hygiene or environmental factor. If it doesn't, that's useful information too. Your body is constantly giving you signals. Most of them are completely normal, but a new and persistent change can sometimes be worth investigating. And this brings us back to the main message. Growing older does not automatically mean becoming less fresh. Aging changes the skin, but simple habits can still make a meaningful difference. You don't need harsh chemicals, excessive scrubbing, or expensive products to take good care of yourself. Sometimes the answer is remarkably ordinary. Clean the areas that are easy to forget, treat your skin gently, and pay attention when something changes. That is a much healthier approach than embarrassment or excessive washing, and if an odor remains despite good hygiene, remember this final rule. Don't simply try to hide the signal. Listen to it.